Turn around, put your hands behind your back. Right now you're being placed under arrest for operating while intoxicated, okay?
I'm not intoxicated. Sir, I'm not intoxicated. I blew zero.
Tayvin Galanakis, a college football player pulled over for using his high beams, was handcuffed despite passing a breathalyzer test. That arrest was caught on body cam, and now a federal appeals court has delivered a scathing rebuke of the officers involved. I'm going to break down what the court said, why the case is moving forward, and what it all means for the future of police accountability. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The rain was falling hard when Tayvin Galanakis drove through Newton with his high beams on one August night back in 2022. What should have been a simple traffic stop ended up turning into a legal battle. By the way, a legal battle that just cleared its biggest hurdle yet, as a federal appeals court has now ruled that the then 19-year-old, currently 21, college football player Tayvin Galanakis can now sue the police officers who arrested him, no longer immune to this civil suit. But they didn't just arrest him. They took a blood alcohol reading from him, and despite the fact that it came back as 0, meaning no alcohol detected in his system, they arrested him anyway. Now, we're going to get into the latest court ruling. Again, a huge success for Galanakis, by the way. But first, I want to take you back to that incident in question when a routine stop turned quite controversial. It was just after midnight on August 28, 2022, when Officer Nathan Winters pulled over Galanakis' vehicle after seeing him driving with his high beams. And the William Penn University wide receiver immediately explained he was using his bright lights because one headlight was out. And body cam footage that's been obtained by Law&Crime shows the officer's initial approach.
Hi there.
How you doing, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good.
My name's Officer Winters with the Newton Police Department. The reason I pulled you over is because you have your bright lights on.
Yeah, I have a headlight out, so I just keep my brights on.
Okay, well that's not legal.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
Yeah, I turn when a car comes by, I turn them off, but like.
Well, you didn't with me.
Oh, you weren't close enough though. You were a while back.
It has to be within 500 feet.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
And you're not supposed to have your brights on in the city limits.
My fault.
You got your license, registration, insurance with you?
Yeah, I got you.
Now, this body cam video shows Galanakis seemingly complying with the officer's request, handing over his insurance and registration. But still, the officer asks him to step out of the vehicle.
All right, that'll work. I'm going to have you hop out with me, okay?
Cool. Car on or off?
You could probably leave the car off.
I bet. I'm gonna roll my window up real quick.
All right. Do me a favor, put your gum on your dash there.
Put my gum on my dash?
Yeah. Perfect.
The officer then proceeded to ask about guns and drugs.
You don't have anything on you? No bombs, guns, drugs?
No bombs or no drugs.
Okay, let's go back here.
Which, could say is standard protocol, operating procedure here. But he went even further, and he questioned him on whether he had anything to drink and pointed out what he saw as signs of alcohol consumption.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
None.
What do you mean none?
I've had nothing to drink.
Okay. Why would your eyes be watery and bloodshot?
You want to blow me real quick?
I don't want to blow you.
And even though you heard Galanakis there offer to take a breathalyzer test, the officer instead chose to go a different route, asking him to perform field sobriety tests. Now, we're going to play this for you, and I want you to take a look at it. You can judge for yourself. Are there signs of impairment? Is he following instructions? Is something else going on? Or is he completely in the clear?
Come on, man. It's too easy. Let's do the breath now. You 2 for 2.
By the way, it took us a while to go through all this, especially the body cam, and we usually work through lunches, we work through dinners, we work through snacks, and I'll tell you what, I always try to eat clean, but shopping for healthy food is not easy. It's tough to know what's actually good for you, but That is why I'm so pumped Thrive Market is now sponsoring Sidebar. So Thrive Market is a go-to online grocery store for getting healthy essentials. And one of the things that I love is their shopping experience, because as a Thrive Market member, you can customize the assortment of products in just a few clicks based on your preferences and your diet. You can filter the products to get exactly what you're looking for. Like, instead of chomping on candy, I found these amazing organic avocado oil chips that are perfect for that midday snack. Also, this company, super eco-conscious. All their products are shipped from their zero-waste warehouses. Everything is delivered straight to your door. You don't even have to leave the house. So if you're ready to make healthy food shopping as easy as a few clicks, check out Thrive Market, scan the QR code on screen, click the link in the description, or head over to thrivemarket.com/sidebar to get 30% off of your first order. And by the way, a free gift when you join Thrive Market today.
And make sure, blow me too, man. Give me a little blow.
I will.
Blow zeros.
I will here in a minute, sir.
Let's blow real quick. Stop doing all these damn tests. Let's blow. Let's get to business.
Offline.
I guess so. How do I turn?
Take a series of small steps. Stop walking 13 steps. Improper turn. Heel toe. One, two. How many steps did I say to take?
Like 8 or 9?
I said 9. Why'd you take 14 and then 15?
I thought you were going to tell me when to turn.
I said to count your steps out loud. Keep your legs straight.
Is that 6 inches to you?
Yep. How did I tell you to count?
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Unless we got like something good. You're doing pretty well.
Why do you assume? Because you're showing some very strong signs of impairment.
Am I?
The series of tests included a walk and turn test, one leg test, and an eye tracking test. And finally, the officer performs the breathalyzer. Now, in this next clip, I want you to pay very close attention to the breathalyzer device and the reading that was captured on the body cam video.
All right, what I want you to do is make a tight seal around this and blow outwards like you're blowing up a balloon, okay?
Cool.
All right.
You ready?
Yep. Okay, you can relax. So I'm going to read you Miranda, okay? Right now you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Yep, you saw it right there. Zeros. Straight zeros, okay? No alcohol detected in his blood, in his system. But instead of, things just ending right there, the officer switches gears and begins asking about marijuana.
When's the last time we smoked weed?
I do not remember that.
Tonight?
No.
Okay, well I think it's tonight.
I've had no weed tonight.
Jasper 6:30 down on PBT.
What? Why do you think it's tonight? Why do you think I smoke? I blew zeros, so now you're trying to think I smoke weed. That's what's going on. You can't do that, man. You really can't do that.
Absolutely I can.
Is he allowed to do that?
Yes, he is.
So I blow zeros and you suspect drugs now. That's what we on? I blow zeros, so you think I'm on drugs. That's ridiculous.
I would. During my field sobriety, it is indicative of impairment. So let's be honest.
I'm being honest.
You smoked some weed at your friend's house?
No.
You hit a pin?
Nope.
Why is your field sobriety so poor?
What?
Why is your field sobriety so poor? And why are you so lethargic and slow moving and speaking with a slurred speech? And your eyes are watery and your eyes are bloodshot.
You know why they're watery? Probably because we're in rain right now.
Very tense right now. So you have an officer who believes, okay, there might be a different substance in his system. It's getting pretty bad. And following this heated exchange, Mr. Galanakis was taken into custody for operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated, despite the 000.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back. Right now you're being placed under arrest for operating while intoxicated, okay?
I'm not intoxicated. Sir, I'm not intoxicated. I blew zeros.
But here's what happens next, okay? So following his arrest, Galanakis was actually later cleared by somebody known as a drug recognition expert, meaning it was determined he was not in fact intoxicated. And what does he do after he's released? Turns around and sues. He sues the city of Newton, Iowa, along with the chief of police, the officer who arrested Galanakis, Nathan Winters, and another officer who was present there as well, Christopher Wing, claiming that his rights were violated, particularly because he was arrested without probable cause. That's the argument. And here's what happened next. After a lengthy legal battle and a lot of back and forth, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals just handed Galanakis a huge victory. And here's the thing. Not only did they deliver him a victory, they delivered a scathing rebuke of the officer's actions in a 12-page opinion. Okay, so we're going to get to that opinion in just a minute, but I want to first bring on a special guest to help me break all this down. I'm joined by Chauncey Moudling, Chief Prosecuting Attorney and Legal Counsel for Jefferson County, Iowa. Thanks so much for coming on. It's good to see you. It's good to meet you. This is an upsetting case in the sense, there's so many times that we cover cases where it's pretty clear from the body cam footage someone's intoxicated, someone's impaired. This is such a unique situation because of the 0-0, right? And it makes you wonder exactly what would be the justification for arresting him. What would be the legal defense to arresting him? How is this not a potential violation of his rights? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm not going to wager an opinion on whether it's a violation of his rights or not. I think that's the matter before the courts right now. But under Iowa law, it doesn't necessarily require intoxication by alcohol in order to prove a crime's been occurred or has occurred. The OWI statute is actually a statute that prohibits operating while impaired. And you can be impaired by any type of substance or even no substance at all. Sometimes. And what that would, I believe, be the theory for the police on this case is that Mr. Galanakis was impaired by a substance other than alcohol. I think there's some flaws in that, specifically when they are talking in the officer's car. I think Officer Winters indicates, well, why do you smell like alcohol? And so when they shift the investigation into a drug impairment investigation after the breathalyzer shows zeros, I think it kind of shows that there was a change in operating theory from the officer's standpoint during the course of the investigation. Obviously, if you blow zeros, you're not impaired by alcohol. There's
a point during the course of the body cam when the officer was saying it looks like he's showing significant signs of impairment. And it made me think about these field sobriety tests. I always wonder, even if you're not impaired, even if you're not, you have no substances in you, could you fail the test? You're nervous, you might get the instructions wrong. And I wonder, how much weight should we be giving field sobriety tests?
So when I try OWI cases, I always hope that you've got somebody who's doing field sobrieties that's just all over the place, falling down, stumbling around, slurring their words. A lot of times, in order to get to the actual scientific level of impairment, either through a data master breath test or a blood draw or a urine draw, you have to establish probable cause that the person's impaired. An officer can't just pull somebody over and be like, hey, I need you to come down to the station and take a sample of your urine or breath for chemical analysis. Got to get to that level. And that's what the FSTs are for, the field sobrieties. They are calibrated and they are scientifically verified. There's a whole process that I think it's the National Institute for Highway Safety correlates in order to try and figure out, do these tests indicate somebody's impaired or not? And they're validated. But of course, somebody who maybe has poor motor function control or epilepsy, things along those lines, could certainly show indications of impairment without actually having consumed any substances. But in this case, I think one of the, fatal flaws for it from the city side is watching those FSTs. He's about as calm and cool and collected as somebody can be. Doesn't put his foot down. He does. I think on one of the tests, which is the walk and turn, it tests your motor functions and also tests your ability to listen to instructions and follow instructions. I think on that one, he just keeps taking steps until he thinks he's supposed to be walking until he's told to turn around. Takes 13 or 14 one way, 13 or 14 the other way back. He's not following instructions, but he's on the line. He's doing heel to toe. He's got very clear motor control. The guy, he's an athlete. I think he's pretty in control of his body throughout the whole procedure here. So you got a 19-year-old athlete who's showing, some confidence and some arrogance. And then you've got an officer who also used to be a high school football player, and they kind of talk about that a little bit and kind of bro down with each other, and then it seems like maybe at some point egos got involved, and if I was trying to look at this from an outside perspective, I think at some point it's possible there was more emotion or ego than law in this case.
Are you concerned when a case like this becomes publicized and people see it and talk about it, that it could erode trust in law enforcement?
Look, we don't have a perfect system. Nobody would say that, but it's the best one we've got. And if anybody has any ideas on how to make it better, I'm always all ears. I think everybody is. So, there's checks and balances here. Mr. Galanakis, I don't know the details on the charging decision. He was released. I don't believe a criminal indictment was filed for OWI. There'd be no evidence to file it. So in that case, I believe the prosecuting attorney was the check and balance in that. If that check hadn't been in effect, the court system is there, and now we have the civil check in this system to try and impose some accountability or to prevent such a thing in the future. So, I hope it wouldn't erode trust because, frankly, the system doesn't always work, but it seems to be working now.
Let's talk about the law a little bit. I want to get into what the appeals court concluded in their opinion. So you have Judge Jane Kelly writing, Galanakis' movements and behavior captured on Winter's body camera footage suggested the opposite of intoxication. As the district court found, and as the footage shows, Galanakis was moving confidently and directing subtle and not so subtle verbal jabs at Winters in a manner that would have been difficult for an impaired person. And the court basically rejected every justification that officers provided for arresting him, including that he hesitated when asked about smoking marijuana, the presence of air fresheners in the car, chewing gum. The opinion reads, weighed against the totality of the circumstances, namely video of a lengthy stop in which Galanakis registers almost no outward indication of intoxication, no objectively reasonable officer could conclude that these isolated actions amounted to arguable probable cause to arrest Galanakis. The opinion continues, Galanakis' traffic violation, the air fresheners, and his brief difficulty finding documentation while simultaneously answering Winters' questions are minimally suggestive of impairment. And we showed you earlier that Galanakis appeared to make some minor mistakes during those field sobriety tests, and while the officers seemingly saw those mistakes as pointing to probable cause, the judges disagreed. That Galanakis did not completely follow Winters' instructions on 2 of the sobriety tests, taking too many steps and not turning or counting out loud in the ways instructed, also lends weak support for the inference that Galanakis was intoxicated. So this is huge for him. This is huge, this ruling, because it means that the lawsuit can proceed. Now, Chauncey, talk to us about, is it rare for a court to allow a suit like this to proceed? Is it rare to give, I mean, they're holding no punches about their thoughts on that body cam.
Right. Is it rare? So we do have qualified immunity as a principle that officers during the conduct of their job should be immune from civil liability for actions that are taken during the course of doing their job. That protection is qualified. It's not absolute. And it doesn't apply to constitutional violations, which is what Galanakis is alleging here, a constitutional due process violation. Is it rare? It is rare because most of the time an officer is in good faith doing his job. He's going to be protected from personal liability in the actions that he takes, right? If your lieutenant tells you to go boot a door and go in and arrest somebody, well, if one thing or another led to that being the wrong decision, that officer is not personally liable for the cost of that door, for example. So is it rare? It's certainly, not rare in the grand scheme of things. These cases happen all the time, but it's not common because most of police actions are protected by that qualified immunity statute.
So in other words, do you think that this would set some sort of legal precedent in any way?
I certainly hope not. I always tell the guys we don't want to be making law and making precedent. We want to be following the law and following precedent. So I don't know what type of precedent this would set. But depending on how the case shakes out, I'm sure it's going to be on training materials in the state of Iowa in the future.
What happens next? Can this be appealed to the Supreme Court? I mean, do you think it would be a case that was right for their consideration? It's obviously getting a lot of publicity, but do you think that this is a case that would go past you, or where do you think it goes next?
the Supreme Court seems pretty busy these days, but
what would give you that idea?
it certainly could be appealed to it. I don't really, want to read the tea leaves on whether they would accept the case or not, but it seems like such a clear ruling on the part of the appeals court that I would imagine at this point it would probably go to settlement discussions.
I was going to ask you that. What do you think that would? What could that look like based on what you've seen in similar cases?
One of my questions about all this, and I understand why Galanakis sued, but what is the damage here, right? So he was arrested. He was released after some period of time. I don't even think he spent the night there. Obviously, it's probably embarrassing, and it was certainly if proven to be a infraction on his civil liberties, he's entitled to some damage. I don't know what that damage would be, though, and so. Obviously, it's in federal court. He's claiming more than the statutory minimums there, so I believe that's still $75,000. But I don't know what the plaintiff in this case thinks that he suffered, which would explain what he would ask for in a settlement.
Trauma of being arrested, having this body cam published, having it be, everybody talking about this story. In one sense, it might have hurt his reputation. I'm coming up with potential arguments.
I think Galanakis looks pretty calm, cool, and collected in this video. I would say it's probably done more for him than against him.
Interesting. Listen, I think it's a really fascinating case. It's, unfortunate if the allegations are true about this. But Chauncey Moudling, I appreciate you coming on and giving your perspective. And I would love to have you back on to talk about other cases.
All right, take care.
That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.